Check 1, 2. Just let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. Check. Hey, everybody. Hey, thanks so much for joining me. It's so awesome. Okay, so it looks like it's working okay. All right, so I'm live again. Yesterday I went live. We talked about optimizing your chords and your strumming, trying to find better tips to be able to properly practice those things. So your songs sound better, you feel more confident, that sort of thing. And then today I'm going to be talking about blues rhythm and then the basics of blues rhythm. And then tomorrow I'm going to be talking about the basics of blues soloing. So I'm just reminding you, I'm doing these. We're celebrating the release of Play Guitar for Life, the Ultimate Bundle, which launches on Friday, November 15th. I'm looking at my notes here. There are a couple links in the description and chat that you can click on to get first in line access and register for the webinar this Friday. There's a webinar I'm going to be doing, so you can get registered for that. And then on Friday, you'll be able to get Play Guitar for Life on 10 DVDs in the hard shell case with several bonuses. So it says click the links in the description to check it out. So if you don't know anything about Play Guitar for Life, it's a guitar course that I spent a long time developing that talks about essentials from strumming. I mean, for a beginner to somebody who's been playing a long time, but talks about strumming techniques and chording and creative chordal stuff and theory and soloing over rock stuff and soloing over blues and scales and all these different things. But instead of just doing like big chunks of each one, they're spread out. They're segmented all the way through, so everything makes sense. So you get a little bit of rhythm study, and then some chords, and then some scales, and some theory, and different kinds of things. It's just sprinkled throughout the whole course. And then in the you can study one of two ways. If you're more interested in just doing theory stuff, you can study all the theory elements, part 1, part 2, part 3, and so on. Or you could just go in chronological order and learn little bits as you keep going. So there's lots of different ways to do that. So just letting you know that that's going to be available on Friday, November 15th, okay? And then tomorrow yet at 1 p.m., I'll still be going live again to talk about blues soloing, the basics of blues soloing. So if you're interested in checking out the course, see if it's something that would work for you, you can find the link. If you're not, it's okay. I hope these videos are still going to help you in learning how to play guitar and, getting motivated and keep your confidence level moving up. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about rhythm, blues rhythm, and really rhythm in general, but we will move toward the blues. So rhythm, basically what I learned a long time ago, not understanding anything about theory or anything like that, is that rhythm basically either has an even feel or an odd feel. So when you play songs, regardless of the time signature, it doesn't matter whether you're in 3/4 or 4/4 or anything of the sort, the subdivision that's going on in there either feels straight or it feels like a swing, is what we refer to it as. So if you think about it, if I was playing a blues rhythm, and I'm just going to scratch like I was doing yesterday. Okay, I'm going to turn off my delay there. There we go. Okay, so let's say I was playing this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I've just got that rhythm going. Now, when I add the ones in the middle, if I add them evenly, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, it sounds like a march. It's straight. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, kind of sound. Dun 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 dun. Right? Okay. Now watch this. If I do this and add the ups like this, now what's happening is all of a sudden the rhythm is getting what we call a shuffle or a swing feel. So instead of going 1 and 2 and 3 and straight, it's going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And I've always thought of this like a heartbeat. Boom, 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 boom. That's how I've always thought of that rhythm, is a heartbeat. So that's both of those things are common in any style of music, but certainly in blues, we're going to run into both of those kinds of things. So if you think about your rhythm, your subdivision, if you will, again, I'm not talking 4 beats in a measure. There can be however many beats there's supposed to be. But when we add those up strums in between, we're either giving it a straight feel, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, or we're giving it a shuffle or swing feel. Now I'm going to use those two terms interchangeably right now. So you can call it a shuffle or you can call it a swing, but it's going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. What's actually happening there is that instead of playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 like eighth notes, you're playing what's called a triplet. Triplet, 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 triplet. But when we do this blues rhythm, what we're doing is we're taking the middle one out. So instead of getting triplet, 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 or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, we're getting 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. That's how it's getting that sound. So again, I could strum this a whole bunch of different ways depending on what situation I find myself in. And that goes back to what we talked about yesterday with organic strumming versus Cro-Magnon strumming and all those kinds of things. And if you haven't seen that video, that might help you as well. But I could play my even rhythm like this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and my triplet could be bop, 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 bop. See, I could still play them all downs as well. There's lots of things I could do. 1 and dun 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 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. Now, if I wanted to do the blues thing, I'd leave that center one out. Bum 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 bum. But if you watch my hand, if I do this slow, ba 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 ba. That third one is still there. You can see my hand is still moving. I'm just not hitting it. Now, why would I do that? Well, again, it's similar to the down-up strumming that we learned in the last live session from yesterday. If I was playing... Again, if I was organically playing, I'm going to play some bum, 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 ba, ba, bum. And sometimes I'm going to throw that center one in there to try and kind of make it sound more interesting. Now, regardless of whether I'm playing a straight rhythm or a shuffle rhythm, okay, the organic elements we talked about yesterday are still going to apply. I don't have to play all of them. And at the same time, I don't have to play the same pattern all the time. I can have some fun with these rhythms as I'm playing. So let's just go to a regular chord once. We're going to develop into bar chords here in just a second. But let's say we were going to play a chord like E. We're going to take E major. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that E major and I'm going to take my pinky and place it on the second string on the 3rd fret. And I get this E7 sound, which sounds kind of cool. Okay, now let's say we were playing this as a straight rhythm. So I'm going down, up, down, up, down, up. So if you've got your guitar, do this with me. 1 and 2 and ready, go. Now let's try and do the same thing, but do them all on downs. 1 and 2 and ready, go. Now what you're going to notice is when I play them all down, it kind of drives it more, which is what we were talking about yesterday's live session, the Cro-Magnon style strumming. Okay, so you could play that either way. And again, as the song gets faster, you might wind up doing down-ups more than downs. But again, every situation is different. We're going to be talking about all these things, of course, in the Play Guitar for Life course. But the more you try these different things with different scenarios, the better you're going to get at it. Now let's take that same idea, that same E chord, the E7, and let's try and give it a shuffle rhythm. I'm going to go 1 and 2. Now if I'm going to do this down, up, down thing, what I want you to think about is, what I'm really doing is when I strum down, I'm waiting for a second before I strum up again. Okay, so I'm going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, so I can give it that shuffle feel. I've often told people a really great way, if it's hard for you to feel the difference between the two, sometimes what you can do is visually think of it this way. If I was playing, evenly over these 6 strings, if I was playing from here to here, I would get this even strum. Now, if I thought about strumming from, let's say, right above the pickup here, down to here, like down below the guitar, right? So I went. Now all of a sudden it doesn't feel like my hand is stopping or waiting or anything. I'm just doing the normal strum that I always do, but because my strum is off center, the strings are up here, right? Down, up, down. It winds up sounding like a shuffle or a swing. So that's another way that you can look at your strumming, if it makes sense in your head, to try and create this kind of swing feel. If stopping on the bottom feels uncomfortable to you, don't think about stopping on the bottom. Just think about going further down with your hand and then coming back up. So you're not making an even motion across those 6 strings. You're putting it off center like that. And you'll get more of that sound as well. Okay? So back to this E7 here. I'm doing that 1 and 2 and ready, go. Okay? Now, the other thing I could do is play them all down. And when I do that, it gives me the option of that center one that we're skipping. You see, so there's a lot of different things like that that I can do as well. So again, it depends on the situation I find myself in, whether I'm going to be doing alternate strumming, down, up strumming, or I'm going to just be doing down strumming, okay? And again, the different jam tracks or different songs that you try and learn, you're going to learn that really quick that they're different from each other and which one feels more comfortable for that particular song that you're playing. Okay, so now let's take that whole idea and talk a little bit about how we take regular chords, regular major and minor chords, and we convert them into more of a blues sound. And the way we do that is exactly what we did with the E chord. We wind up playing what's called dominant 7th chords, which means we're taking a regular major chord or a regular minor chord. And again, we're going to learn the theory behind all this stuff in the course as well, but we're taking a regular major or minor triad, we call it, and we're adding the minor 7th on top of it, okay? So I've always told people an easy way to think about this is if you were on A, like let's say you're playing an A chord, whether it's A minor or A major, doesn't matter. And we want to add this bluesy 7th onto it. If we think of the root of the chord, which is A, we think a whole step back or 2 frets back, right? That moves us to G, A to G. That's a whole step, right? So the note we're adding into the A chord is G. So if I took this A chord, I can use it as an open chord right here. And let's say I took my middle finger off the guitar. Now normally I'd probably use these fingers, but whatever's comfortable for you. Right? So I'm just taking the middle note off. That's all I'm doing. Instead of playing 2, 2, 2, I'm playing 2, 0, 2. And what have I added in between? The G. I could play that as a bar chord. Take that pinky off. This note right here, A, becomes G. Okay? So we're going to add that note in. So if we're on the chord G, what would we add in? What are we adding to the chord? Well, G, 2 frets back, gives us the note F. So that's what we're adding into the chord. G. Again, bar chords are always nice if you play bar chords because you could just take that pinky off and you've got yourself a nice sounding blues chord there. And if you want to make it sound even cooler, you can take that pinky and put it here on the 2nd string. If I'm on 3rd fret with this, this would be on the 6th fret. So I can kind of double up that sound because if this is G, what note am I adding in? I'm adding in the note F. Well, if I put this pinky down, believe it or not, this note is also F. So I'm just kind of double whammying the sound of that F chord there, or that note F over this G chord, is what I'm really doing. So it doesn't matter whether the chord is major or minor. If you think of the name of the chord, D, what would the 7th be that we're trying to add in for a blues chord? Think 2 frets back from D. We're adding in the note C. Or if we're on E, what note are we adding in to make it sound like a blues chord? We're adding in the note, think 2 frets back from E, that would give you, I'll wait and see if so, yeah, right, it would give you a D chord, that's right, okay, or excuse me, the D note, excuse me. over the E chord. Okay, so adding that note in makes it sound bluesy. Now what I like to do is I love to play these as bar chords, because then I've got total control. Like let's say I did an A chord, here's A major, but I take that pinky off, now I've got A7, and I could add that pinky here if I wanted to. So what I do is I take my rhythm now, whichever rhythm I'm doing, whether it's a straight rhythm or a shuffle rhythm, and I start using all the dynamics that we talked about in yesterday's live session. I start using all of those different things, hitting different groups of strings like we talked about, hitting harder or softer, playing more or playing less, all of those kind of things I start using here. But now, what's really fun is I can take this pinky and I can add it on and take it off in different places to try and make it sound a little more interesting, right? So again, this requires you to know some chords. Needless to say, maybe this is a little bit further than where you are, learning bar chords and all that. It's okay. You got to start back at the beginning. I just want you to understand that what we're learning here is chronology. We're moving from learning about rhythm and then taking that rhythm stuff that we're learning and we're applying it to a style of music like the blues. We're taking the chords that we're learning and we're converting those chords into something that sounds a little more like blues. And blues isn't the only style. I mean, there's lots of things we can learn how to do. We're going to talk about all kinds of different things in the guitar course, but just understand that that step-by-step nature is really what that guitar course is all about, is taking a little piece, developing it, and then adding something else on top of it, okay? So open chords, bar chords, power chords, these are all different styles of chords that you should learn how to play. But like we talked about yesterday, the most important thing too is develop your rhythm. So yesterday we learned about dynamics, we learned about organic strumming, all these kinds of things. Well, now we're learning that there's an actual subdivision to the songs that you listen to. Okay, regardless of the song, it either feels even, straight, or it feels odd, which is shuffle. Now, most music that you listen to is going to have the feel of dun 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 dun. Like yesterday I used, this as my example. Right? It's even. But let's say I did this. There we go. Right, like Tush by ZZ Top uses dun 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 dun. I gotta check my tuning here. It uses that swing feel. Bump ba bump ba bump ba bump ba bump ba bump ba bump. That's what I'm looking for, is that swing feel. There's the culprit. You know, living in the Midwest, it's either hot and you wind up with way too much humidity, or it's cold and you don't have near enough humidity. It's never just ideal. It's always one or the other. But anyway, like that kind of rhythm, bump, ba bump, ba bump. You know, it's got that dun 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 kind of feel to it. So different songs do different kinds of things. So we want to learn about that. Okay, so that's another thing that I want to tap into, is just understanding that this swing versus straight kind of idea when you're playing, and then the bluesy element that we're talking about today, aside from that, which is important, is understanding how to create seventh chords, and those seventh chords are going to give you that bluesy sound in your playing, which is really important. Okay, so tomorrow what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a small little idea to work with on basics of blues soloing. So if you're new to soloing, or you just started learning scales, or you've never learned scales, but you'd love to learn some more about how soloing works, tomorrow's live session is going to be a lot of fun, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about, give you some tips. So please make sure, if this seems like something you might be interested in, I love this guitar course. I'm very proud of it. I spent a long time developing it, and really, again, it's in the name, guitar, play guitar for life. It's meant to last you for the rest of your life, or at least as long as it will, until you learn everything that's in there. So it takes you from knowing nothing to how to play different styles of music, how to solo, knowing your theory. All of these different things are all included, but in a motivational kind of bite-sized element, with each different section having little pieces that you work on. So it's not just 6 weeks of this and 8 weeks of this or something like that. It's always changing. There's always different elements that are tying to each other. So if it sounds like you're something you might be interested, please do me a huge favor. Click on the link, check it out. And remember, there's bonuses and let's see here. Yeah, so it goes live on Friday, November 15th. And then, let's see, a couple of links in the description and chat. You can get first in line and register for the webinar that I'll be doing on Friday, which is perfect. So anyway, take care, stay positive, and remember, tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central, we're going to go live again, and I'm going to show you a little bit about blues soloing, okay? Take care.